3, 2, 1. All
And
right.
go.
Welcome, everybody, to another week of Ghost in the Scene, the only certified Ghost Street podcast. What's up? I am your host, Gio, along with my co-host, Rob. What's up, Rob?
Hey guys, I'm feeling pretty well saged this evening. In these trying times, it is always good to just cleanse yourself, cleanse your earbuds. So we're glad that you are on the show, cleansing yourselves by listening to our voices in this guaranteed free ghost way. There's lots of ghosts out there, but you can be guaranteed to take some solace in this podcast. So we're glad to have you with us as well. And that's how I'm feeling. I'm feeling the love.
Wow, and we also have a guest. Rob, why don't you introduce our guest?
Yeah, for the second time, I reached out. So last time you may have heard him. We weren't quite sure what happened. His signal dropped out, but it's Rashid. Rashid is back.
Hi everyone.
Wow.
Our connection to the inside film scene, movie acting scene, acting specialist. Rashid, been on many sets, haunted, not haunted. We're so fortunate to have him back. Rashid, can you tell us what happened last time? You cut off, and I think it's important that what happened there.
Well, I apologize. I forgot that I had ordered a pizza, and the pizza came at that time, and I stood up to go answer the door, and I just knocked everything down.
Oh, well, a lot of times, and this is something that I don't want to scare you about. I know that you probably enjoyed that pizza.
Well, I did. It had ghost peppers on it, actually.
Well, that's very smart. Considering the kind of sensitive information that we had, ghost peppers are a good thing to eat to inoculate yourself. What I was going to say is that a lot of times we open the door to people that are the pizza delivery men and women.
Mm-hmm.
And even the non-binaries out there, of course. The non-binary pizza delivery people out there. Sometimes, though, they come with somebody at the door. And this is stories that I've heard of pizza possession. And it is the kind of thing where you open up the pizza box and you see a symbol, almost like a rune, made out of pepperonis or little mushrooms, and you become instantly possessed. So I know that didn't happen to you this time, but I just want you to always do a big sign of the cross or any kind of religious symbol over your pizzas. This is for everybody, because that could happen to you. Absolutely.
It's good to know. Good to know.
So what have you been up to since our last meeting? Have you encountered anything, been on any sets?
Well, I took to heart a lot of what you guys said, and I upped my milk intake quite a bit, and it's strictly to inoculate myself against ghosts, not because I enjoy drinking milk. It's disgusting. It hurt, but yeah.
It hurts.
But I have had correspondence with Jack Black, who he listened to the podcast. He's a really big fan. He said that he says, "Hi guys." He's actually in a holy war against Jack White for some reason. It sounds a little too good to be true, but yeah, what we're talking about, this whole Jack White thing, it's bigger than we thought. So I've been, getting some advice and giving some counsel in this thing.
Wow. The holy war between the two Jacks, the white and the black. And what's crazy, and maybe this is just the kind of indicative of the mandala effect, but the fact that in this world, Jack Black is the good one and White is the bad one, it's kind of like putting everything over on its head. But and obviously I am on Jack Black's side. We all know that Jack White is dead, and he's been a dead man for years.
Yes.
So, wow, thank you for actually being on his side and giving him counsel, because without you, we might be losing this holy war. Thank you, Rashid.
Oh, well, you're welcome. Anything I can do to help.
Yeah, and thank you, Jack, for listening, for tuning in. Honorary street team member. That's all of you out there. And that includes you, Jack. So shout out, props. Drop a line if you need some
safe space.
If you need safe space to talk about this holy war. It must be tough Sounds traumatic.
Mm-hmm. And maybe even Kyle Gass. We can get Tenacious D on this podcast, and they could possibly make a ghost-free song for once. I know they had a whole movie, and you know, I didn't want to go there because you're talking about this whole religious war thing, Rashid. But I just want to remind everybody of the fact that Jack Black was in a movie co-starring the devil. I want to say, just for the sake of everyone knowing, he does defeat the devil in the movie. But I mean, he was with the devil on set for probably weeks shooting that scene. And maybe you should talk to him about that. Give him counsel about that.
I'll see what I can do.
Tell him not to talk to the devil anymore.
Huh. Well, I wish I could tell a lot of people that, but you know, I can only do we can only do so much as people, you know.
So true. So glad to have you back, and with your expert eyes, I really think that you could help us out with the investigation that we're in right now.
Okay.
We're knee deep in blood, red blood. Rob, the Lost Boys. We were talking about the past number one, and recently we found out that they made 2 more. That makes 3. Now, have you researched the second one, I believe? And I took a quick look at the third one, and let me just say that what we found in these movies is just more questions. Not too many answers, but a lot more questions. And I think the most poignant one, the one that we still haven't answered, is what does this mean? Is this a good vampire killing movie, or is this a bad vampire creating movie?
I mean, it does both, right? It is celebrating vampirism. It's accurately depicting how the society works. So anyone that is interested could potentially join. But, you know, in the end, all the vampires are killed. They're slain by our main characters. Or are they?
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Because we have 2 more movies after the first one. So clearly, it's not even close to being the end of it. And our main characters that we know, that we fall in love with, Michael, all the you know, Corey Haim, his character, they don't really show up in the subsequent movies.
And in fact,
so we don't even know what happens.
There is I watched this with you. You sent this to me, and Rashid, if you've seen the second movie, Tribe, there's a deleted scene at the end of the movie that shows Corey Haim as a vampire.
Yes, there is.
Showing the holes in his neck. And this is the kind of thing where now in this world, they've made him a vampire. I don't know why they did it. I don't know. And then he never showed up again. So it's this crazy mystery. And, of course, we have the Corey Feldman, who is the consummate professional, always killing vampires. He never kind of goes away from that, which is beautiful. And I think he's the through line for what I believe is the anti-vampire part of this movie. But then again, you have all these cool vampires acting all cool and doing cool things. What would you say is your favorite vampire kind of activity? The cool vampires. What do you like in these movies? Watching them do. What do you like for these vampires?
Well, I personally, I think it really does glorify the whole forever young motorcycle riding rebel in all of us. You know, just because they were killed at the end, it doesn't negate the fact that they lived totally awesome lives. They just, you know, even as an immortal, you just have to go at some time. And I think the vampire slaying is representative of the death that we all need to go through. Not that they were bad, you know, they just came to the end of the line, you know.
Wow.
It was like a real ride. It's real ride or die with
Yeah, yeah.
vampires.
Mm-hmm.
And what happened? They
Yeah.
killed off those vampires, and then a new set comes to take their place. It's the never-ending cycle, the circle of life, if you will.
Wow.
Life after
Wow.
undeath.
Wow. So it's
And
like they're actually reliant on each other in that way. The vampire hunters and the vampires.
It seems that way. Yes.
and the garlic growers too. You know,
Yes.
they
Is
use
this big
all.
garlic?
Yeah,
Huh.
I think
I-
why wouldn't it be?
Right. Drumming up all this vampire fear to sell more garlic.
Absolutely.
That makes total sense.
So we were talking about how this is a fake location. The Santa Carla is a fake place, but they filmed in a real place. And you said you went there. That
Yes.
you've been on this set.
Yes, I have. And it started out as research, but it became a bit of an addiction, I should say.
Wow.
Wow.
If you're comfortable talking about it here, we would love to hear your story.
Well, they filmed in a small unknown town in California called Santa Cruz, and there's a particular scene in the movie where they ride their motorcycles to a train tracks, a bridge,
Mm-hmm.
and they all jump off the side into the fog, and they tell Michael, join us in the fog of life. Just take a trip down into the fog with us. And that bridge is by an amusement park by the beach. It's the Santa Cruz Beach Boardwalk. And in my research, I found that I really love roller coasters. And so I did. Going on roller coasters kind of became an addiction for me, and hanging out at the beach. It's very dangerous, but sometimes it's worth it. I had to join a beach roller coaster 12-step program in order to live my life.
That's so brave. Thank you for telling your story. I know that must have been really hard for you to say. Roller coaster addiction is a real addiction. Going
is.
fast is
It's
very,
a
very
sickness.
addictive. Yes.
Many people have gotten sick from riding too many roller coasters.
Yes, indeed.
And the amount of speed that one gets from the beginning of a roller coaster to the end, energy, that's speed is in the equation of energy. That's part of the equation. And energy is never destroyed. It is only created, can never be created or destroyed. So it's transferred. All of that energy that you get from a roller coaster, I believe, is almost like a cosmic charge to your battery. There may be a reason why you were addicted to roller coasters, Rashid, and I believe it could be that as part of your investigation, you need to recharge your cosmic energy. And I think roller coasters was the perfect fit, but I think you overused it.
Yes, just like any good thing, too much could be too much.
It's not like milk. You can't just drink all the milk and get inoculated. Roller coasters, it's almost like a diminishing return. The more you do it, the less you get out of it.
Yeah, you can only charge a battery so much. Other than that, it's just being wasteful.
Exactly. Wow. And so there we have it on behind the scenes, and you became addicted to speed, just like these actors in the movie. They had to act like vampires. And I believe that addiction kind of followed them into real life afterwards. Just like they were pretending to be addicted to blood, they became addicted to other things in real life. And so we have the tragedy of Kiefer Sutherland, who was an alcoholic for many years and a party boy. And of course, now he's reformed. But these are the demons that people had to deal with. They had to fight with addiction. And I think that's a symptom of this movie.
Yes, indeed.
Wow. So
That's pretty powerful stuff.
I mean,
and we could say more like to Corey Haim, and then all the lives. I mean, we're just talking about the people in the film. We're not talking about anyone who's watched the film and was influenced. I mean, like yourself, Rashid, you said you were influenced by this film to go to Santa Cruz, and through the process, developed an addiction that you needed to recover from. So, I mean, these are just very small instances of all the lives that have been touched by this film. And I think this is why it was so important for us to investigate it, because it does have this draw, this weird magnetism that brings everyone under its spell.
And not only was the vampire group affected, but we also have the character of Michael. Okay, and Michael, he was able to kind of separate himself from the vampire group at the end and save himself. And I think the sad part is that the actor didn't follow suit. The actor was not able to replicate what he did in the movie, because you will see, and I will prove to you, because I've done some small investigations into Jason Patric. He's Michael. He has had a storied career, and I believe that this was all kind of a seed that came from his time in The Lost Boys. We have, I'm going to just quickly go over a couple movies that he was in. This is a 1988 movie that he did. It's called The Beast, also known as The Beast of War. Now you can think this kind of sounds a lot like the devil, right? The Beast.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, of course.
So I'm just going to just quickly just shoot that out there. And the star of the movie The Beast, because Jason Patric, he was not the star, he was a co-star. But the star of the movie, the one on the poster, is the Commander-in-Chief, President of the United States of America, Stephen Baldwin.
Wow.
I mean, there it is.
That's proof right there. I mean, what more do we need?
This guy is hobnobbing with a young Stephen Baldwin on a film set about the devil, and you ask yourself, okay, that's it, right? That must be it. I'm sorry, but that's not true, because Jason Patric, he's not just Jason Patric. Okay, because his last name is Patrick, we all seem to think that he's a nobody. Well, I'm sorry, but that's not true. He is the grandson, the maternal grandson of Jackie Gleason, the honeymooners, Jackie Gleason. This is the guy that got all of us to the moon. Space travel.
Dynasty. And domestic abuse.
Yes.
Yes. Well, you got to break a few eggs, right?
Mm-hmm.
And get to the moon.
Yes.
Jackie Gleason understood that the amount of punches towards females equals the amount of miles to the moon.
Space travel at its finest.
This was a terrible equation, and I don't know who came up with it, but Jackie ran with that equation, and it got us where we are today. And with the Me Too movement, everyone knows just how terrible men are, and Jackie Gleason was a pioneer for just how terrible men can be. And
Yes.
Jason Patric happens to be his grandson, which is a dynasty.
Wow. I mean, it's kind of like building the pyramids, right? It's like they're a wonder of the world. They're always lauded as something great, but it was something that was built by terrible means.
Right, by slavery, oppression, capture of
Religion.
Of course.
I mean, and
You name it.
fun fact, you can see it from space.
Whoa.
Wow, from the moon probably.
Probably.
So perhaps this dynasty goes back even further than we even realize.
It could
Absolutely.
go back to the pyramids itself.
I mean, let's just say it. Not it could, but it does.
Jackie Gleason Otep.
Wow. Wow. And there we have it, guys. A history lesson from Rashid. Jackie Gleason Otep is the first. So this is a dynasty that goes all the way back to the pharaohs, and the original pyramid that you could see from the moon. And that's what Jackie Gleason was referring to this whole time. And
I think they call it. I think they call it a pyramid scheme.
It must be where that comes from.
I do believe, yes.
So Jason Patrick is the grandson of this all, right? He is the beneficiary of an entire dynasty of moon-loving people. Now, the moon is nighttime. That is when vampires come out.
Yes.
And I want you to remember that what I'm talking about, nighttime. Now, there's daytime, there's nighttime. There's Jack White, there's Jack Black. Of course, in our world, it's opposite. But let's just kind of use that metaphor for now. So the Jack White of the day, it of course is the sunlight, and vampires can't stand it. Werewolves, they don't walk around in sunlight. Now let's flip the script. Moonlight, vampires walk around. Werewolves walk around.
Mm-hmm.
So we have this, so that's what I'm saying with Jason Patrick. I'm not convinced that he's a vampire. In the movie, he did not become a vampire. What if he became a werewolf?
Huh. If the drinking of vampire blood turns you into a werewolf, that's something that needs to be checked in. Do you think your street team could go and find some vampire blood and do some research on this?
Possibly.
That's not bad.
Think so.
So street team, we'll have this be an official call out to y'all. Come across any vampire blood, any vampires? Send that over to us. Shoot us an email. We'll send it to a non-disclosed location because we know. We've been hacked a few times on the show, too, so we're kind of learning as well. We're not going to give too much information on air, so sorry, Oprah.
Yeah, sorry, hackers.
These lines are shut down for now.
Yeah, and thank you for sending me your Tor network codes so I can be safe on here also.
Of course. Anytime our guests come on, we make sure that we have all the securities in place for them. And we don't use them for ourselves because we believe that our guests are more important than us.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
I quickly want to get back to a little bit about Jason Patrick. This is searchable on his Wikipedia. So this is something that I wanted to talk about. He stole Kiefer Sutherland's fiancée.
Yes.
Oh, right.
Now, Julia Roberts was supposedly dating Jason Patrick. And this is days after she canceled her wedding plans to Kiefer Sutherland. Which is...
that was a sad time in America.
I mean, I remember the world mourned for Kiefer. And this is what churned Kiefer to the bottle, I think. I think Kiefer really went in a downward spiral after that because his co-star had just done him such a terrible slight. But here's something else I wanted to kind of mention. That Jason Patrick, he was the last movie that he was in, he was kicked out of. They were filming it in 2012. And he was kicked out of the movie for not being directable.
Well, of course. Have you ever tried directing a werewolf?
The proof is right there. You said it. You took the words right out of my mouth.
I mean, yeah. And I also want to say, as mentioned before, I don't think we're condoning violence to women by any means. But we're saying that there's power structures that build our society that were 100% powered by the violence towards women and other people.
Absolutely.
I completely agree.
That violence is itself a ritual. And
it's exactly.
And that men and other people, abusers, will use the violence as a source of ritual power. They use it for their personal gain. They use it for whatever dark, nefarious reasons they do. And we just have to understand that violence is a tool for abusers, and they use it as a tool. And so we don't condone it. We're obviously we're calling it out. We're saying that it is bad. It's a ritual. It's a spell. It's terrible. So yeah, we don't want to get anybody crossed on that, because the one thing that we are always on the side of victims, of survivors. People get haunted and no one believes them. People are possessed and people don't believe them. And we have to live in a culture where you can say that ghosts are real and people won't laugh in your face. And that's the kind of world that we want. We want to live, and we want to have for our children.
That's the world I want to live in.
I mean, that's what we're building for, and that's why we're so grateful for everyone listening to the show, and to you, Rashid, for coming on and having the courage to come and speak truth to power, because it's not easy. Because a lot of the times, just talking about ghosts resurrect ghosts themselves. It can be equally as traumatizing. So, but as we said here, here we are ghost free. This is Audio Sage, so this is a safe space. So, we thank everyone that comes and participates. This is important work, everyone, and it seems to get more difficult each week. But the more we work through it, I'm feeling inspired. I'm feeling empowered by all of you and by ourselves.
Absolutely. The mention of Jackie Gleason usually gets you instantly possessed. The fact that we're on a good podcast with the right security measures says it all.
Yeah,
but really. And here's one more thing. If it's not enough that he's in bed with Stephen Baldwin in the 80s.
I mean, these are just old dynasties, just like Duke and I. You got the Sutherlands.
Right.
You got the Bobby Gleason Oteps. Yeah, you got the Baldwins.
And exactly, and I'm glad you said Baldwins, because in 2012, he was in a movie directed by Alexander Ray Baldwin IV. Third, I'm sorry. So he was in a movie with Alec Baldwin. So, I mean, you can't... And the movie was called The Devil and Daniel Webster.
Wow.
You can't make this stuff up, guys. It's real. Okay? Why is everything with the devil?
I think that there's been, ever since the Lost Boys and Jason Patric's werewolfism, I think he's had a cry for help, because I'm thinking about his long movie career, and there seems to be a pattern here. I mean, he was in the Lost Boys, and then he was in the Beast Wars, and then from Lost Boys he got this addiction, this movie about addiction, and from my own touch onto this movie and my addiction to speed, I realized Jason Patric was in Speed 2. He was a star of Speed 2.
Oh my God.
He was also in a movie by the name of Rush. His cry for help is just long. Sleepers. We're all sleeping on the job. Narc. It's just, it's amazing that he's using the power of the pyramids to fool us all into thinking that he's not, in fact, a vicious werewolf.
Wow. You just broke it open like it was a goddamn piñata, Rashid. That was amazing.
This is I got to do more research on this. I think I may have to go back to Santa Cruz.
I think so too. I think this is too important for us not to do a full dive. We can't let anything go in this investigation. It's too important, because we're talking about dynasties, like you were saying, 3 dynasties intertwining. We're talking about the President of the United States. We're talking about the Hotep. We're talking about ancient Egypt, the moon. Okay, vampires. This is all a little scary.
This,
And then
yeah,
you
yes.
look and you see when he was in high school, he was in a production of Dracula.
Of course he was.
It's just too much.
He has been set on this path from the beginning of time. This is always going to happen. This is what the dynasty does.
And there's one more thing that I wanted to talk about. So he was replaced in a movie in 2012 called Copperhead. So they replaced him with somebody. And the person they replaced him with, his name was Billy Campbell. This is the kind of thing where you think, you know how they have people in central casting. The central casting is kind of like the place where everyone goes for when they need like an extra, someone who looks like something. I need a tall, dark, handsome man, and they have a bajillion pictures of tall, dark, handsome men. Well, it turns out that Jason Patrick and all of these Lost Boys, they're kind of fit into a central casting category, the vampire bad boy category, and Billy Campbell fits the bill because his most notable films is Bram Stoker's Dracula. So he was in.
It's a cabal, right? I mean, that's what the whole point of the stories of the Lost Boys. It's to point out, and that's why it's confusing to me as well, because it's the whole point of the movie is to lift the veil to say, hey, Hollywood is run by vampires. I mean, it's no coincidence that Johnny Depp's band name is the Hollywood Vampires.
Exactly. And I'm glad we're finally getting to it, because I think this leads us right into what we've been trying to talk about this whole time, which is the fact that this is all a veiled documentary about Johnny Depp and all of the Hollywood vampires. Of course, he is just one of them. But this is about all of them. This is about the Baldwins, the Sutherlands, the Patricks. We're talking about everybody here. And it just so happens that, of course, as always, the one who's the most photogenic comes to the front, and that's Johnny Depp in this conversation.
Always.
The ultimate bad boy with a motorcycle and a guitar and a cool thin mustache and all that stuff. That's Johnny Depp.
Great facial structure.
So we know last time we talked a little bit about Johnny, and you were foaming at the mouth. So what do you have on Johnny, Rashid? Because obviously we have a lot, and maybe we should real quick, guys. Welcome to Depp Step.
There's the intro.
This is the intro right there. That is the perfect
Love it.
Intro that we always do. This is a segment that we have on Johnny Depp. He is always up to something, and we got to call him out when we see it. So, Rashid, go ahead and go crazy on Johnny Depp.
I gotta say, I have a court order that says that I cannot talk about Johnny Depp, or I could have to pay a fine or go to prison.
Oh my God.
But the truth needs to come out. I mean, at great risk to my financial well-being, I have to say that Johnny Depp is he's not just the poster boy for vampirism. I believe, and I've done my research, I believe that he is the original. He is the start of all of this. All these dynasties that we're talking about, they stem from the depths of hell.
Oh my
Johnny
God.
Depp himself. I'll send you guys over my paperwork, my all the documents that I've had. It's very scary.
Definitely.
Wow.
Rashid, I'm sending you some extra scrambling to your code because our traffic, as you would imagine, as soon as you opened up your mouth about that, just spiked. And what? And I was anticipating that too. We were having some conversations earlier about talking with lawyers to see how prudent this would be. And you know what? This is full throttle, baby, and this is what we're living for.
That is amazing evidence. Honestly, send that via carrier, email, Western Union. Send it over a pigeon. We need all of those papers. This corroborates everything that we've been studying and investigating for an entire year, Rashid.
Yes, I'll do my best. And I don't know if you guys are aware of this. He almost broke his cover when people believe that he was claiming that he had some Native American ancestry.
Mm-hmm.
And they were thinking First Nation, American Indian. That's not. He actually meant that he was native to America. He is the first person that was ever here before any. He is the native person, and it's just. But through his agents and his publicity agent, they spun the story into he's playing a Native American in this movie. Let's just say that that's what he meant.
Wow. And you were smart enough to catch it.
I did catch it.
That's important. That's what's most important. That we have people like you, the street team, actually out there doing this, the footwork, the investigation, watching the interview, watching him say the word, and actually taking him at his word. Because he said it. He admitted it. And all we had to do was believe him and listen to him.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to thank you because I think you're right. I think if we go back in time, we can find Johnny Depp at every single historical landmark.
All the way back to the beginning. Yes.
Behind the scenes. The first American, the worst American. Johnny Depp.
Said it.
Wow. And so all of this is tied up in a bow in The Lost Boys. They talk about the bad boys of Hollywood. Johnny Depp is very clearly at the forefront. Johnny Depp does music in Hollywood Vampires. They cover Break On Through to the Other Side, which is the anthem to the vampires.
I mean, maybe not quite the anthem, because I don't know if they had the licensing for that song, but they alluded to it because the Vampire's Lair, if you look closely in the back, you don't even have to look closely. It's right there. We'll probably post a photo up to our social channels so you can check it out yourself. Poster, big one, Jim Morrison.
Exactly. So their poster boy of Jim Morrison, and we had talked about this in the last episode, the fact that they idolized Jim Morrison as almost a muse, right? Maybe he wasn't a vampire, but he was the ideal of what a vampire looked up to.
Of their lifestyle.
It's kind of like Morrissey for a lot of people now. He's like a terrible monster, but there's pictures of him in the 80s where he looks like kind of cool with his shirt off and in black and white, and everyone just kind of uses that instead of him as an actual person now, That's what Jim Morrison is. Jim Morrison was probably a pig of a man and disgusting and smelled bad. But a cool black and white photo of him with his hands out, like a cool T, and bada bing, bada boom. That's all the vampires need. They need a symbol.
A fun fact: the studio. You are correct about the about Break On Through. They didn't have the rights for that song in the movie, but they found that it was cheaper to get a cover song by a band called Echo and the Bunnymen that covered a Doors song. So they just to kind of throw people off for this thing, and it was I forget the name of it. I believe it was People Are Strange or something like that. It's
oh my
just
god!
a strange coincidence.
It is so strange.
And what makes me really uncomfortable when they do covers of songs is that you're not quite sure how they're recording it. You don't know what sort of tones and wavelengths they're throwing in to these new versions of the songs. Like they might be throwing in some really high frequencies that you can't hear, but your brain hears and your soul does. The ghosts hear it.
Absolutely.
Oh, the ghosts definitely hear it.
And I honestly don't know what kind of covers are in the other movies, because we have two other movies. We're only talking about the first movie. There's two other movies with equally they couldn't get rights to anything in those two movies. They're way lower budget. So we probably have music from those two movies that are covers of other Doors songs, maybe even a couple songs from Dead people. There's a lot of ghosts musicians also. We talked about how the really sad story of Freddie Mercury and how he's trapped by Disney now that they own Bohemian Rhapsody, and just how they can keep ghosts as
locked up in their vault
as pets. And it's sad, but now we have to think about ghost performers and the fact that we're now doing covers of their music in movies. Like, how many times have you heard like a New York, New York, or My Way by Frank Sinatra done as a cover in a trailer for something?
I think I hear My Way's like played in every other film trailer
all the time.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
And so there we have, every single time you're evoking possibly subliminal messages in all of these covers.
I mean, it might not sound like My Way because it's a cover. It's supposed to sound different.
Exactly.
Even with different lyrics sometimes.
Different lyrics, different tones.
You can make My Way sound a lot of different ways. It doesn't have to sound like My Way.
Right. I mean, and I forget that not everyone knows this too, because this is a way for them to keep power over us. It's that incantation, My Way. It's like the spell that they're putting over us, that they're saying it's my way, and you think it's me, but no, they're saying my as in them.
Yeah, their way.
They're playing it my way, like their way.
They're not singing your way.
No.
Yeah, they wouldn't. Yeah, exactly. They wouldn't be singing your way. They sing my way. So subliminal music and all of that, that's all well and good, but when it comes back to Johnny Depp, we all realize that he's in a band called the Hollywood Vampires, and that he does nothing but covers. He's basically in a glorified cover band.
Right.
And he covers nothing but dead people. David Bowie. He covers who else? Jim Morrison. They do all kinds of, and of course Alice Cooper's in the band, so they do some of his music and all just the rock standards, but all of these people are dead. Of course he probably knew them, but still they're ghosts now.
I mean, can you cover songs that you originally wrote for someone else? Wow. As the first musician, I think a lot of the songs that were written throughout time were actually written by Johnny Depp, but it's only now that he's allowed us to hear it through his voice.
Wow. Maybe you're right.
I think that way, you're right. Sorry, I cut you off, but I mean, I just wanted to put in that you're gathering all the powers of everyone who has sung that song before. So if he writes it, sends it to the entire world, gets millions of people to sing it, so that by the time it gets back to him, he's absorbed everyone's powers.
All that power. And I wouldn't be surprised if these musicians and artists that he's given these songs to throughout the years, if as they became more and more famous, he's killed them and sucked their souls out as well. Whoa. Just to make himself more powerful. So the rabbit hole is deep, my friends. It is.
I know. Wow. So this really speaks volumes of why you've been pressured to keep silent about this, because this is really explosive stuff. And I'm really glad. So like we've been in touch with the FBI as well. Hopefully we're going to get a special investigation into this that would hopefully then clear any legal troubles for you, Rashid. But of course, working with Washington is not necessarily a favorable place to be either.
It's a swamp.
It's a ghost hotel.
That's all that's going on there right now is just the cover up of the real stuff that's happening. They're always trying to distract with the next big thing. You know, it's there's no way now. All of a sudden, there's no way they're going to have time to investigate the real trouble with the world. So
And
good luck, you guys.
He's, like we said, he's the first American. So we can't be sure that Johnny Depp doesn't have a secret door to Stephen Baldwin's door, to his room, to the Oval Office. We don't know. We have no idea what he's capable of. And
so the path is then careful from this point forward. So we're going about this. We're fighting this every step of the way, but progress might be a little slow because we have to be very aware of every single step that we're doing.
Our lives are on the line, and let's not let's not mince our words. The fact that we do this podcast, we're targets. So we just got to watch our necks a little bit. And of course, we're going to report to you the truth as soon as we can. I think that's the end of Depp Step. I don't want to get us into more legal trouble than that. I think we gave you guys enough red meat. Amazing work, Rashid. Truly groundbreaking stuff.
Thank you.
Amazing. We're so fortunate to have you speaking on these airwaves.
I'm fortunate that you guys have this outlet for the truth seekers, the truth tellers to come out and give this information. I mean, there's so much research that goes nowhere in the world because there's not a place to deliver it.
Mm-hmm. And we're happy to do it. We're happy to do it every week, and we're going to do it every week from now on. There's just one last thing that we have to talk about, and this is something that is kind of a current event. It's current news. Mm-hmm. A movie's coming out. It's going to be number one. We all know it. It is a Kevin Hart movie. It's called Night School.
Mm-hmm.
You heard about this?
Yes.
So let's just talk about it real quick. Night School.
It's starring Tiffany Haddish.
Yeah. It sounds like Vampire School, right?
Sounds like it to me.
I mean, what happens at night? Yeah.
Vampires need to learn sometime, right?
Mm-hmm. And
they can't go to day school.
Burn up.
You said
it. They can't go to afternoon school. I mean, I don't care what that Twilight movie said. That's lies. That's the vampire cover of, oh yeah, we're nice diamond day walking. No, they're night walking people, and they need to go to school and learn their arithmetic at night.
Yeah, if they were diamonds, they would have been mined by the big companies years
long ago. Big Diamond would have spent them years ago.
Mm-hmm. They'd be on someone's neck right now if
yes.
they were diamonds. Yeah, right. Sorry, Twilight.
Yeah, sorry about that one.
So let's just talk about Night School real quick, because this is something that Kevin Hart, it's his passion project. It's his production company that is releasing this movie. It's the first movie under his production company that they're making. It is called Heartbeat. Heartbeat, H-A-R-T, just like Kevin Hart. Ego of a small man, the little man complex, manifested as a full realized, possibly billionaire. I'm not sure exactly how much this man is worth, but it's a lot.
It's a little bit of a fortune.
I mean,
but, in Heartbeat, this is the thing that drives. Your heart is the muscle that drives the entire pulse of your body, the engine. It's the engine of your body. So this is going to be his engine for, what? I mean, obviously to make money, but an engine for what else? I mean, his first movie is at Vampire School. So what is this an engine for? What is he building? We don't quite know yet. I think it's easy to cast dispersions and say, this might be some more grounds just to build more vampire stuff. But I think it's interesting that he's working outside of the traditional Hollywood studio where all the vampires are. I think if you want to get in bed with the vampires, you just do that. You just go with the vampires. And so the fact that it's outside kind of gives me pause to see what his true intentions are.
No. I think you hit it right there. This could be almost like an inward look into Hollywood. Like, Hollywood is a vampire school.
No?
And, when you think about it, vampires drink blood. They drink blood out of the neck of their victims. People think that they suck the blood out, but the human body isn't a straw. The blood is pumped into the vampire's mouth, and how is it pumped into the vampire's mouth but by the heart?
Wow.
Kevin Hart is pumping new food into the vampires with this new production company.
Wow. God damn, Rashid. God damn. We got to have you on more, Rashid. You're amazing.
This is what I do, guys. We research. I can't stress that enough. People think memes are the way. It's hardcore research.
Mm-hmm.
Always
Wins
go
every
for the
time.
gift.
Wow. So, I think that's the nail in the coffin on that one, guys. Let's call it a week, and we will see you guys next time. Thank you so much, Rashid, for coming on again and
thank
giving
you
us your
guys.
expertise.
I appreciate you.
That was amazing.
Yeah.
My eye, it's just, your medium, your skills as a medium and an actor, I think it just puts you so in touch with yourself. It's always a pleasure to just hear your perspective. And we want to hear all your perspective as well. So come on to the show. Stay in the scene, everybody.
That's right. Keep your eyes on the screen. And thank Rashid. Of course, you are part of the street team, part of the Ghost in the Scene family. Whenever you want to come back, man.
Thank you.
All right.
I think we should be going soon because that sounded, Rashid, if I'm not mistaken, it sounds like there was someone that just drove by your apartment, and I just want to make sure that you're safe here because I'm looking at the mainframe and things are looking fine, but something like that, those anomalies make me worried.
Well, yeah. I didn't want to worry you guys, but there's heavy motorcycle traffic going on outside of the building right now, and I think we did.
Yeah.
I can't, guys.
Yes.
Can you please call for?
There he goes again.
Call for what?
Pizza?
I think he was calling for pizza.
Okay. Well, let's hope that he's calling for pizza. I'll send a message to him. Make sure he's all right.
I hope he remembers my advice about doing the crossover of the pizza, or else he could get possessed. So, guys, we'll find out about Rashid independently. We'll tweet about him. Make sure that he's safe. But yeah, stay in the scene, guys. We love you, and of course, we know that you love us. Shout out Jack Black.